Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Good versus Good podcast. Common ground begets common good. Uh, Tonight I have a new guest with us. He is a good friend of mine. His name. Oh, I didn't think to ask you. Is it okay if I say your first name?
Sure,
Okay, Alex. I'm gonna call you artist.
sure. Yeah, you can. Yeah, I guess you can qualify. I can qualify as an artist.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you know why, ladies and gentlemen, Alex qualifies as an artist? Because he illustrated my third book. Uh, Man, fucking memory. I forget my own shit. I literally forget my
It
own shit.
happens.
Culture of One, the mythology of the Muse. So it was a really challenging and fun process where I I I I hit the ceiling in terms of my skills and capability as an artist myself. So I enlisted Alex here to draw my ideas, and we mingled back and forth. He has a bit of his ideas, a bit of mine, and the end result. I mean, get the book just for the artwork. Don't even bother reading. Don't even bother reading the book. Just get it for the artwork because it's not available anywhere else. I have it on my website, but you can't. You can download them, I guess, but they're at poor quality. So it's a nice little memento to have down the line should this go anywhere. And so yeah, just a little background on Alex there. So I'm going to just tell for those of you who have not. This is the first time listening to the Good versus Good podcast. I'm going to explain to you how this works. Uh, Hold on here. The focus of this podcast is to invite guests that have different beliefs to read one of my articles covering politics or religion in 500 words or less. All the while, we actively adjust our comfort level being exposed to each other's ignorance. Remember, my ignorance censors his truth. His ignorance censors my truth. Because this is not a debate, my guest must decide in real time what is more important, being right or being civil. I give them the opportunity to read one of my articles without debate. The guest, did I just write that again? God, I should be. I need better. Is there brain? Is there like what's that thing called where you remember stuff? What's that called when you remember stuff?
A memory,
Memory. Do they have pills for that? Because I need them.
dude. They have pills for everything these days, man. Anything you can think of, right?
Oh, right.
And the sad part is, usually those pills, the side effects are a lot worse than what you're actually suffering from.
Well, what's that say about people? What's that say
Yeah,
about people? It's like, well, I don't know. I have to think about that. And so I will only interject into the discussion when my guest needs assistance. So, for example, I've written something so articulate that the feeble mind of my guest can't interpret, so I must come in
of course.
and demonstrate my intelligence.
With simpleton,
Yeah.
we need your guidance.
So then, at the end of the podcast, you will rate my podcast. You will rate my article. So you have final say.
Okay.
I have no input, and I accept whatever it is. I accept it wholeheartedly. At the end of the day, I'm just happy someone's reading my work. That's the God honest truth. Okay, so let's
Let's do it.
let's get started. So okay, to give you a little, this is part of my philosophy, my overarching philosophy. I believe there are three simulations that overlap in the mind. I'm just gonna tell you them. I'm not gonna explain them. The simulation of doubt, the simulation of progress, the simulation of coincidence. What we are looking at is that explains the simulation of progress. This is the side of the brain that champions logic. It's a space that I have spent about 2 or 3 weeks where I had become an atheist. And I fully went down that path because I wanted to explore the other side, because I want to understand why why people think this way. And I went so far that I actually scared the shit out of myself, and I went straight back. I went straight back, running back, because I'm not doing that again. So, I mean, I'm willing. I was willing I dared myself to try and understand. Like, I really went so far as being an atheist. But I promise, I don't think I'll do it again. So, this is the result. This path here was charting that process. And since you are an atheist yourself, I'm wondering to see how you will react to this and to the subsequent articles that we will, over time, presuming if you come back, you will interpret. So you want to get started?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to
This makes
control it.
sense.
I'm going to control the screen for you.
Okay, makes sense.
Tell me if you want me to blow it up more.
Maybe just a little bit. Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Okay.
So
Coincidence, doubt, progress. I mean, this. Would you like for me to comment on this?
So you have to, you're interpreting this, you're reacting to this, and you must think of it like a usability test. You have to think out loud.
All right. I see. I look at it as almost like a not even religious flow of thinking. I look at it more as even a progress flow in life, right? Because in life you always have doubt and you always have progress. And I mean that doubt, I think that's what brings us down a lot of times, right? And I think coincidence is something, I don't know if it actually fits here. Because when you say coincidence of God, is that coincidence of something miracle that happened in your life? Is that what you're saying? That leads us to believe in God, or something that bad that happened that makes us believe that there is no God?
If you read along, it'll explain. It'll give you. I think it might answer some questions you're raising. Alex?
Yeah, I'm listening.
You okay there?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about this. Coincidence shakes one's position of God. I don't know if it. How does coincidence shakes one's position of God? Can you explain it? Explain it to me.
Well, have you experienced coincidences in your life?
I don't know if I believe in coincidence.
Why?
I believe things just happen. I think it's just simple as black or white.
Do you think that
They don't happen because God is doing it, or they don't happen because God does not exist. They just happen because we're just specks of dust in this life. We're just bugs who are living and breathing, and that's all we are. We're just these walking apes who are just nothing in this world.
does coincidence imply significance?
I think it applies the awareness of significance.
And what about
Right?
that?
It's awareness.
What about that scenario? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I guess there is truth to this, you know? I like how you presented this. From design perspective, I feel like you're really telling a good story in a simple way, right?
Thanks.
Um, I feel like your storytelling definitely improved over years since I've known you. And I feel like few words can speak a lot. And just presenting this way makes a lot of sense.
I can't wait for you to go further.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go further.
Okay. Like if this is your reaction just on the first slide, I can't wait to see what you say next.
Thoughts are illegal. Thoughts are not illegal. Okay.
Remember to read out loud.
Progress aims to convince doubt that thoughts are not illegal. Doubt aims to convince progress that thoughts are illegal. All right, hold on a second. Progress aims to convince doubt that thoughts are not illegal. Doubt aims to convince progress that thoughts are illegal. Thoughts are illegal. Thoughts are not illegal. So what's in the middle of thoughts? Is that doubt?
That would be coincidence. It's just not highlighted. So
How does coincidence come to this?
it's the same. It's the same as this. See? It's the same. Think of this. It's just helping to define these three simulations. So now we're here. So doubt, thoughts are illegal. Progress,
Okay.
thoughts are not illegal.
Thoughts are not illegal. I don't know if with doubt comes lack of thought. I think with doubt comes the negativity of thought, right? With that fear comes the bias of something that is not something that is sad, something that is maybe I don't know, man. It's interesting. I think it's yeah, I think this makes sense. Thoughts are not illegal. I mean, thoughts could be illegal, right?
If thoughts were illegal, everyone would be guilty.
I think once you everything we say vocally, those are thoughts, right? I think once you take that step further, that's when they become illegal.
Well, I would hope that's as far as it goes. I have little faith that um, the powers that be further encroach on our privacy in order to understand how to control us, to control the population. I mean, you have to if you're a government, right, or if whatever. But
In some way, yeah. It's necessary evil, right?
yeah,
I think this in a way makes sense, John. Yeah. Thoughts are illegal. Thoughts are not illegal. I like this, man.
okay, good. I think you can maybe you can if I you know what fuck the format. This is, obviously this is going to be a different podcast, so I'm just going to roll with it. So on the left hand side, you have the simulation of doubt. Thoughts are illegal. Now think to yourself about religion. Okay,
Okay.
who who implements the tool of shame? Shame highlights in the mind thoughts which we cannot control, but are not are not they're not allowed. So we're taught in a way to think that thoughts are illegal. So every time, no matter where we are, we have a thought that we're trained to think is illegal. You are constantly in shame.
I get what you're saying. I feel like every culture tends to look at shame differently as well. You got to look at it this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we don't look at shame. You can look at shame as something you can be something you cannot speak of, or something you can't even showcase in front of your parents or as growing up. I mean, right? Or it could be used as a tool, right, to control you as a child. And I feel like a lot of times religion does that, right? it controls individual through shame.
It's effective.
It is effective, and it's an effective tool that's been used throughout history by many religions, many leaders, and of course, eventually it leads to violence, right?
What about on the other side? Thoughts are not illegal.
I guess that's true. Yeah, it's the freedom of thought, right? That's like you said.
It's each side is a slippery slope because I've been on both sides of the coin, so to speak. Right now, as a because of where I am with bipolarism, I
Hmm.
rest on the belief that thoughts are not illegal because I understand that the mind is detached from the body, it's its own entity, and that it it thrives by it it stimulates itself by punishing the body, and it's through this move its ability to do that by not believing thoughts are illegal. They are not illegal. Okay, you can take it further, but you cannot help the thoughts you have. It's impossible, right? If you make that illegal, shame runs amok.
I mean, thoughts are can be controlled, right, with medication,
Yeah.
uh, with uh, with many things, right? Throughout history, people try to control thought. Yeah, throughout history, right? I mean, it's been we've seen this already, right? Um, sorry about that.
Would you say that you are a consequence of history?
Definitely, I guess. Yeah.
Shit.
Consequence of history. Aren't we all? Aren't we all in some way,
Yeah.
right? Um, Without the struggles of my ancestors, I wouldn't be here.
Okay. So I'm gonna read to you. I'm just gonna
Okay.
read the rest to you. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So the next piece. So imagine now it's a blown up view
Hmm.
where the circles intersect. It's close now, so you don't see the circles on either side. You're just seeing a fraction of them, and it's focusing on the coincidence. And on either side, on the left side, on the simulation of doubt, there is the words, "There are no coincidences." Coincidences. That's on the doubt side. On the right side, it says, "Limits are imaginary." Do you want to comment or you want me to read?
Limits are imaginary. And what's on the left hand side?
There are no coincidences.
I don't see how they correlate with each other, though. I'm having a struggle. I'm struggling with this.
Well, do you want to try and figure it out or do you want me to help?
Sure, help me.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about here.
Thoughts are no coincidence. Limits are imaginary.
There,
Uh,
there are no coincidences.
yeah, there are no coincidence. Yeah. Um, I'm struggling with how they correlate with each other. See, for me, there are limits, right, in life. They just are. Um, for example, we can't all of a sudden become athletes at our age. There's no way we can actually get to this point, right? As hard as we train, as well as we eat, we're never gonna get there. but at the same time, they're no coincidence.
Okay. Why don't you? I'm gonna have you read what's underneath.
When thou interact with coincidence, it shakes one's position on God, for or against. See, a lot of what you're writing is about God. I always forget about it, man. I think about this from a personal perspective as what do I achieve in life, right? That's all I think about. Like I'm so detached from the whole God discussion that, that 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 I keep forgetting that this is the subject line of this discussion, right? Hence the response, there is no coincidence. When progress interacts with coincidence, it shakes one's position on God, for or against. Hence the response, God is an imaginary limit. Um, see again, like that thought never crosses my mind where I think, oh, God gave me this or God didn't give me this. I freaking worked my ass off to get here. All right, that I'm gonna get that job next day during that interview. It's my hard work. It's my will to succeed. That's what brought me into his life, not God. As you know, as that's the hard part I'm having with this, right? With this discussion, is that how can I attach God to this? And I just can't. It's just for me. It's just like we can do it, but it doesn't play any role whatsoever in my existence.
Fair enough. How about we move on?
Let's do it. Mutual insanity. I don't know. Mutual insanity between those two, right?
Yeah.
Between those two previous points.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you go up for a second? Can you go up for a second, John? Go up
Oh,
first.
here.
Yeah. No, no, no. Higher. So how do these things now overlap? Can you explain it to me? Because they were not overlapping in here. So how do they overlap in next slide?
Well, it's down to coincidence. It expands and contracts the two until they intersect, but it doesn't stay that way. It's kind of like breathing or swimming or canoeing. It's if to unhinge the conversation like trees flowing in the breeze, right? These circles mingle with each other, and that's what creates the coincidence where people feel it's significant and there's people think it's insignificant, and it's the
So it's
significant
fluid, right? You're
flowing.
saying it's fluid.
It's fluid. It's flowing.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess at some points you're saying it interacts with each other and it might intersect and create this mutual insanity.
And guess what?
I,
Guess what?
I like this idea. Yeah.
Guess what? Mutual insanity is. Guess what
What
it
is it?
is? Civility. That's what we're
Civility.
doing. That's what we're doing right now. We're being civil. We have extreme views, but you would never know it because we're being extremely civil.
Yeah.
That's the point of the podcast.
I think some people can't detach themselves from not taking it personal, and that's where issues happen, right? This is worse, and so on happens, right? And yeah, I appreciate the fact that we're able to just have these different views, like you said. And at the end of the day, just have a normal discussion, right? And enjoy each other's company. I like that, John.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm sick of division. I'm sick of politics. I'm sick of it's become a circus, and I don't enjoy it anymore. When I enjoyed it, yeah, great, bring it on. I don't enjoy it
Hmm.
anymore. I'm 42, and I'm probably gonna live I don't know how many more years, and I'm just gonna get
At
more and
least three.
three. You're optimistic.
At
uh,
least three. Come on.
uh, no, but it's I I want to spend my time and I want it to be novel, or I can't think of the word, where it's with people where in other places in the world we'd probably be killing each other
Fair
with
enough.
similar views. With similar views, we'd be at each other's throats, but we we're not. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying. I'm not interested in trying to change your mind.
Of course.
Make sure you read it out loud.
Marriage between doubt and progress. The truth is revealed briefly. What's the truth? The culture of certainty divides us with reckless ignorance. The culture of certainty divides us with reckless ignorance. Yeah, I agree with that. Doubts ignorance censors progress truth. That is also true. Progress is ignorance censors doubts truth. I guess that is also true. Progress ignorance censors doubts truth. Yeah, I feel like this is generic enough that it can be applicable to yourself, even your business or your spiritual beliefs, right?
Right. It's
This is interesting.
agnostic. Right.
Yeah,
Agnostic.
yeah, agnostic. Exactly, agnostic.
It's compatible with anything.
I love it. I
Cool.
love it. Yeah.
Okay. You want to see the last one?
Sure. What does it say? Sorry, I can't say. I can. We are God out of. I do believe so, man. I was thinking today about it. We are gods and we're devils. We create, we destroy. We do. We are the worst of the worst, and yet we are the best of the best. We create something like art, a painting, a ballet, a dance. It could be just an artistic performance. At the same time, we create machine guns. We create bombs, dude. We create grenades that rip children apart. We are both, in my eyes.
Hmm. So you can see yourself as a god.
I think we're all gods. I think we are the limits of evolution at this point, right? And we are the best of what nature has provided, has created, I would say.
Or the worst.
Oh, exactly, or
Or
the
the worst.
worst.
But the
Exactly.
either way, significant.
Either we are exactly we are the limits on both. I can spend a year taking care of the grass, and then I can just burn it all down in my backyard, right? I can. It's what drives us every day.
So what about this illustration leads you to believe that
Oh, I don't believe I'm God, but I feel like we are at a certain point we can definitely be godlike. And not it's not even this illustration itself that that makes me believe that. It's the fact that we have created all these books, right? All these religious documents, And let me tell you something. They evolved with humanity, these documents, right? Because they're written by flawed humans. They were there to control humanity and put them in ease from, because we had no laws back in the days. We needed something. And that was a really good way to make sure people are acting the way they're supposed to be acting, right? Behaving a certain way. But like I said, these religious books evolved with humanity, right? Or did humanity evolve with these books? I think we kind of influenced them through our, as we progressed in life and history.
Does a God behave?
Does the God behave?
Does a God behave?
Behave how? Well, good, or bad? Or just in general?
Well, I think the connotation leans towards behave, like in a good way.
We can all be good.
I'm curious to think, isn't what a God does, isn't everything a God does perfect?
Well, I don't look at God as some entity in the sky, right? I don't see it that way at all. I think we, as society, created what we created. And we live in a country and we have these thoughts and ideas because our country allows us to have those thoughts. Do you think you would have time to even do this kind of stuff if we lived in a country that had a worse economical, that the ecosystem itself would not allow you to do so, right? So we as humans, somebody before us has built all this, and that's empowering. That's what should motivate us. Not, in my eyes, a book, but it's the progress of humanity. How can we help for our next generation, right? We see a homeless person, it's like, giving them a book is not gonna change their lifestyle. But, if we improve ourselves, that might influence them as well.
I'm not. You want to know? Do you want to know what I believe?
Of course, always.
So I think I won't. All I'll say is that it's about imagination. Who has the bigger imagination, and who puts stock in having the bigger imagination? Because I always, you ever see on YouTube where they show like a scale, like this is what an atom looks like in comparison
Right.
to a pencil, in comparison to a beetle or a person, and then they get all the way up to like the sun and then the planets, and they just the galaxies, and it goes into as far as we can observe. It's like, look how small we are, right? It's being illustrated here based on science and based on technology. It's illustrated. This is the limit we can achieve now, and I always look at it in awe, because somehow it's either built into us or it's been taught that scale is impressive. Like you see a mountain, wow, that's impressive. I don't know if that's taught to us or if that's like ingrained in us, because as humans, here's the thing that I think you'll never understand, because if you did, I think you'd agree with me on this. God is always bigger, because it comes down to imagination, right? You can say, well, what about this? The universe is this big. God is bigger. You can't. A Christian will always trump, when it comes to scale, a Christian will always trump anyone else because it's just down to imagination, right?
Of course.
So it's, the imagination I have is crippling. So it's, I see these things. It's not like I poo-poo them. I just say like, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't preach. I don't preach anything. It's just that it's hard to overlook the fact that my brain tells me that God is bigger. So I'm like,
Oh, for sure.
how am
For
I
sure.
supposed to? How am I supposed to ignore that? And
Honestly, I just don't have that emotion about it. I'll be honest. Just like when I told you about my art, right? When I draw, I just don't get into it emotionally because I know at the end of the day, it's just sequence of lines. Just trying to. And to me, that's just in general this notion of God. Maybe as I will get older, that's going to change, and that's they say, as you're getting closer and closer to death, you start thinking about God more and more, right?
can I give you my insight on something?
Sure.
God can be tiny,
Like a small person.
like an atom. He's,
Sure.
what I'm saying? Like you don't. He's
Sure.
everything. Like if even if you don't believe it, in order for the definition to explain, he would literally have to be everything. So there's
Right.
nothing he can't be. There's nothing he can't be. So on
Right.
any level, it's like, well, he's within reach. No matter where I am, right? No matter. It's all about imagination. It comes
So,
down to that.
but the thing about imagination, that's all it is. Imagination. It doesn't take you further. I can imagine unicorns and you know uh, whatever I want in my head. That's as far as it's gonna go. I mean,
No, you're right. I'm just saying that's the thing that it can be used against you. You can't. It's not like it trumps all.
oh,
It's
for
like
sure, for
it
sure,
can be used.
for sure.
That can be used against you. So that's why there's no traction with that because
It's a never-ending discussion, right? It's a never-ending discussion. Um, but again, man, I live in a country where there was no religion. There was, and it was interesting because people would physically chase you down away from churches. Police would, right? And this happened to my family, right? Where they wouldn't actually allow them to go to church. But people were searching for that spirituality when it becomes illegal. I feel like that's even more symbolic, right? For some people, it's a sense of meditation, it's a sense of peace, right? A religion doesn't have to be about God, it can be about just finding a peaceful place inside of you. It can be something that just a comfort zone. It can be a wall that you look at, a painting from your childhood that you remember. It could be anything. Does that make sense?
yep. I can imagine that. I can imagine that I at a good chunk of my life I think. I
Same
mean,
thing as in,
I I I I I rested my hopes on an inanimate object because it put me in a place of peace and humility, tranquility, and it's if that floats your boat, great. If people don't have that, if people don't even have
and
that
that's
much,
the thing though, right? People search for it for their whole life, and they sometimes can't find it, right? But when you find it, that's keep it, man. Stay with it.
yeah.
John, did you want to have this discussion tomorrow? Because I got to run into Home Depot. I apologize.
No, that's a good place to end. We're about over an hour.